I'm showing a video on how I made my custom LED taillights for my 73 Mustang. I ended up doing this because I really wanted to do LED taillights in my car, but nobody offers LED taillights for these cars yet. The 71, 2, and 3 are all the same. So for those guys out there that want to do LED taillights, but don't want to just put that little bulb in there, I'm going to show you how I did mine. And hopefully this will give you an idea of how to do your project. Start off by getting your lens out of the car. Okay. Now I got the lens out. What you're going to want to do is, there's going to be a little bit of cutting involved. So if unless you have an extra set of taillights, or you're not worried about these, I wouldn't do it. But if you are, you're not worried about them, or you have an extra set, go for it. You have nothing to lose other than something that looks custom. If you're not familiar with these, you have a little tab on the top. You have to lift up with your thumb and then pry them apart. Now you gotta be careful with these because these little tabs right here can break easy. And sometimes they might be also glued together, so you want to be careful with that. Just get in there and just kind of walk it out. Now I've already pre-loosened this, so I didn't have to fight it. There you go. That's all it takes to get the lens out. Now you have your inner housing. Now this is where you're going to end up doing your cutting. You're going to end up cutting, depending on your LED module that you buy, you're going to have to do some kind of cuts here, and here, and here, depending on the one you get. I end up getting these ones. Now you can find these on eBay. I happen to get these from a company that supplies LEDs for commercial vehicles. I also try to find the most thinnest one I possibly could get, because obviously it has to sit down inside the housing. You want to make sure it also sits even with this or lower than this in order for your cover to fit back over top of it. My problem is it had these little tabs on it, and that's why I had to cut mine. If you end up finding one that doesn't have these, you probably won't have to do any cutting. Mine, I had to. So what I did with mine, to figure out where I needed to cut it, because obviously I don't want to cut way more than I need to, I just took a little bit of black paint, put it on a piece of wood here, and a little bit of paint on my low corners. I stick the lens down inside the housing, get it about center where I want it, move it up and down a couple times. Alright, what that would do is, that would give me a reference point where I'm going to cut. So at this point now what I would do is I would just take a pencil or marker and strike some lines so I know where to cut. Now this is not a hard project. Anything you can cut it with, that'll cut plastic without doing more damage to the rest of the shield. What I ended up using was one of these little multi-tools. A little oscillating tool. Works good. You could use an angle grinder too if you want, but this worked the best. Now I'm not going to cut this one because I already have one that I've already cut. I just wanted to show you, one, how to get it apart, two, how to figure out what your measurements, and how to take them up, and obviously make sure you don't break this. Alright, now the one I have, I've already got two LEDs already in it. Right here, I didn't do this, but see, that's how easy it is for those to be broken off. So that's why I got to be very careful with them. So what I did is, I also painted my housing black, because obviously I don't want anything else to show that doesn't need to show. I just want my LEDs to show. And I got my LED module. Let me get the paint off of it. Alright. And then also when you buy your LED, make sure you buy your wire. Obviously you need that to make it work. What you do is, what I did on mine is I did 2 screws. One on top, one on the bottom. Now you don't want to drill through the plastic of the actual LED. A lot of these come with warranties. And if the lens is cracked or you have holes in it, you cannot return it for the warranty. So what I did is, the little lip here, I used the washer to grab that lip, and that's what I'm holding it in place with. What we do is just slide it in there. Now I put it in there, and I marked where I wanted my holes, and drilled the holes. like a little screw with a washer. Not a big washer. You don't need anything big. A little nut. Slide in there. I already got my bottom screw in there already. Now what you want to do is you want to snug these down. You don't want to get them too tight because, as I said, you don't want to crack the LED, and you don't want to do any more damage to your housing. So you just want to get them nice and snug, to where they can't move or shift, but not over tight. Okay. And at this point, once you get all three in there, now you have all your LEDs in. And the reason I had to cut mine is you can see where the actual LED module, see where it comes right flush here. The actual rounded part of the housing would not have let me get that in there. Plus, you got to be able to get your wires through here. So if you ever need to replace them or pull these connectors off, you can get to them. Alright, now that you got that part over with, now the next part is figuring out how you want to do your lenses. Because this particular LED module has 9 lights. It has 4 on each side and 1 dead center. When I put my cover on it and it lit up, you actually saw 4 little dots here, 4 little dots here, and 1 in the center. And to me, I just didn't think that looked good. I'll show you. Let's see. I'm not cooperating with me here. I don't know if you can see it too well on the camera, but you can see all the individual little dots. And to me, that didn't look good. So I opted to not go with my stock lenses. Now, if you get an LED module that happens to have, say, 4 or 5 just rows of lights like this, it'd probably look better. These didn't look good to me. So what I did is I decided to disassemble this piece. Now, you have to separate the aluminum from the plastic, and these things are glued together, and they're glued together well. So if you want to use a utility knife or a putty knife, get it in there and work it around there really good, because this red plastic does crack easy, as you can tell. So I'm not tearing that apart. I have one that I've already tore apart. So once you get it apart, set this off the side. You can always use this down the road for something. This is also a good time where having those screws also make it to where if you take it out so you can actually see, you can put your cover on there and check your placement. See if you need to move them back or forth, either direction. Now at this point, now you have to make a lens. What I did is I started off with a piece of cardboard. I cut a piece of cardboard out that fit in there, so I knew exactly how big it needed to be. I transferred that to a piece of plastic. Obviously, put it in there, cut it. I used a gray tinted plexiglass. I would prefer Lexan, but I already had the plexiglass. And then I also took the time to paint all the spots where you have all your hollow areas, because I don't want to be able to see inside there. So I painted so all you're going to see is just the LED modules themselves. And then when you put this on, and you can see you have your LED, and they're kind of smoked, so it kind of gives you that custom look. You can do that. You can go with one that's a little lighter in color, so you can see your LEDs a lot better. You can go with a clear one, or you can go with even a transparent red, so you have a big red lens with the red LEDs. And but you definitely still want to paint them, so this way you don't see all these hollow spots. And then what I'm going to do to hold them in is I'm just going to use a black silicone. I'm going to beat a black silicone across this and let it set. The reason I'm going to do it that way is, one, I don't want to put no screws in it because I think the screws will look tacky. 2, if this were to ever get broke, scratched up bad, anything like that, all I can do is just cut that little bead of caulk. Lens comes out. I make a new one. pop it in there, re-silicone it in, you're ready to go. And then, putting them in your car, after you put them in, then you got to figure out how you're going to do your wiring. You can either cut your wiring, splice these in. You could use those splicers, so you don't have to actually cut your wires, but you can splice it into it. Or what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to use an old light bulb, pull the glass out, loosen up the solder, and actually put these into the actual socket. So this way I can actually just use the old light bulb, where the solder on the end, and be able to plug it into the original wiring harness, so I don't have to actually cut anything. And then once you're all done, you will have your LED light, where you have your tail light and your brake light. I hope this video helps you with any ideas you might have. Hopefully this gives you a couple ideas of how you can go about doing your project. Have fun with your project.